Well, welcome everyone here to the Noble Shire for Progressive Discussion at Progressive Rock Central. And thank you, Enigmatic Sound Machines, for taking time out of your busy schedules to discuss your latest album with us. Imperfect Silence was released at the beginning of August, and it was on their label is Prog Rock Essentials. And we've got the two members of the band, Thomas Zerme. I hope I'm saying that right. All right. And Jeremy Robas.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. And we're going to let them sort of do an introduction, but also, kind of tell us what um, instruments you play. And then the first question is always tell us how the band got started, how you emerged, and how you evolved. And they do have a couple albums out. We're going to talk about those in a minute, but go ahead and start with hellos. And, yeah.
Yes, okay. I'm Jeremy Arobas. I'm the keyboard player. I'm also the lead singer, a producer as well of and songwriter. The way Enigmatic Sound Machine came together is basically Thomas and I know each other for a very long time. We're very old friends, and before I started this project, we met at a record launch, and we reunited because we weren't in touch for the last few years, and I asked Thomas if he would join a new project, Enigmatic Sound Machines, and he said yes, and the rest is history, I guess, because we are now at after three albums and working on the fourth and next album for next year. So yeah, that's basically how things started rolling.
Boy, he answered so many questions that I'd be done already. No, I'm kidding. All right, go ahead.
My name is Thomas Sermon. Uh, Jeremy put it very succinctly from the outset. We're actually childhood friends. We went to school together.
Oh,
So
wow.
back in the 70s, when Prague was at its culmination, the glory days, as it's called, with the Yes, Genesis, ELP, King Crimson, yada yada. So we had the pleasure of at that time, there was something called live concerts, which, if I remember correctly, tickets were somewhere between $10 and $15.
Can you
Um,
believe it?
so we actually spent a lot of time together at concerts besides spending time at school. So we witnessed things like Led Zeppelin in 1974. We saw Genesis twice, both the Selling England by the Pound tour,
Oh, wow.
which is now legendary. In fact, they even have a CD and a DVD
Even
of
the
that.
first Genesis ever,
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
day they
Yeah,
came.
but they came twice to do that. We were there, and then the Gabriel in the Montreal Forum, which was of course the hockey arena, where they were obviously a step higher than that, and that was full, and that was for the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway tour. So why that is important in all of this is that we have a common musical education,
Yeah.
that was rooted in our infancy and literally our youth, and really has never left at all. So reuniting after almost 45 years, it was as usual with real friends, especially when you're young. It was like yesterday was yesterday and today is today. I mean, it was a 24-hour difference. We just continue where we left off. So basically, that was the reason why it was such. He asked a very simple question: would you like to start a project? And I, within zero point 0.9 seconds, answered yes.
Yeah. And by the way, we're wearing the Montreal Canadiens jersey today in honor of these guys. And yeah, that was the surprise. That if you saw the Facebook
Montreal, home of the
post I made.
Habs.
Have you guys been to a game? Or how many games? Probably many.
Yes. Well, the funny thing about that is that what many people, well, certainly of our generation knows, but perhaps not the younger audience, is that when prog started to enter North America, the first door they came through was Montreal. So
Yep.
there was many, many, many bands that would go on to huge fame. Like the list is endless, where they would arrive in Montreal. Best example is Gentle Giant, who within two years went from 3,000 people attending the concert to 14,000 people at the Montreal Forum at a time when they went to Toronto and they were in front of 400 people. I won't talk about Milwaukee, but you get the message.
Yeah.
So, really, an entrance point, even for the British invasion. You know, we had the Rolling Stones and the Beatles here before the US almost had them,
Yep.
albeit not with the same impact.
Yeah, there's another reason for that is that Montreal was a rehearsal room before going on tour to the US. So
Yes.
they will
Yeah.
here, fine tune the show before they would go to the US.
Yeah. Which was, as a musician will tell you, sometimes the first take is the best take.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times. And how many of those have been thrown in the trash thinking, nah, this isn't that great. And yet it probably was the best. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. You definitely have a wealth of everything in Montreal, but especially musical talent and as you say, an introduction point. And that's amazing that you saw um, during the Gabriel era. I always wish I had seen that, but I was still, I don't know, 13, 14. And my parents were very conservative. They were like, you're not going to a concert on your own. And yeah, I could have found a way around it, but I didn't, and I wish I had now. But and they later in life said, "Yeah, we wish we would have let you, go to those." I could have seen Lamb Lies down on Broadway. I probably could have seen Selling in England by the Pound, and just they wouldn't let me go. In fact, when it first started, we had to sneak like that Led Zeppelin, especially Houses of the Holy. We had to sneak that one in the house because they were like, "What the hell is this?" Um, but yeah, it was crazy times. But at the same time, he's right. $10, $15 for tickets. I mean, you kids these days don't believe that. There's no way you could have seen the Rolling Stones for $25. Yeah, there was. Back then you could. Now, absolutely not. It's
Yeah.
200, 300, whatever. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's a shame those days have gone because probably in Montreal, I grew up in Cleveland, and in Cleveland, every weekend you would go to some kind of, especially in the winter when there was nothing else to do. There'd be some someone would be there. Bruce Springsteen, Rolling Stones, some Led Zeppelin, someone would be there, and every weekend people would be going to concerts. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't afford that on these
No,
budgets and what they're.
different times.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why music was so important and so important to all of us, and that's why I have all this stuff in back of me, because at one time it was celebrated, and I'm trying to bring that back. Not only with the old stuff, which you see the albums, but also with the new CDs. These are all 2025, most of them albums that have come out. And and I hope everyone that's listening will go out and buy these CDs like Mission Jupiter's new one or Eden Song. Or if you guys haven't, we're going to talk about your favorite bands and new music. In fact, Thomas just mentioned he finished a review today. He's still doing reviews and he's going to talk about his favorites. We'll ask Jeremy his favorites as well. Okay, so tell us, and we kind of zoomed through it, and that's okay because they can actually read it in the review. But tell us the instruments each of you play, and then we'll move on to some other things.
Okay, well, originally I started as a drummer. I moved to keyboards
Wow.
years ago. and today I have the privilege to be able to literally play anything I want
Wow.
through my software. So I can play Hammond B3, I can play piano, I can play tuba, I can play guitars, drums, anything. So yeah, we are in a different world. In the 80s, when I started playing music, you were pretty limited. Either you had a synthesizer or you didn't have one. It was guitars, it was the basic instruments. And then when electronic music came into play, everything changed. And that gave birth to the sound of the 80s, where all of a sudden you had computers, rhythm machines, synthesizers coming into play. And today, 21st century, everything is inside a computer, and enigmatic sound machines, part of our name is using machines.
Yeah.
We are a hybrid band in the sense where we use machines, but we use real guitars, real bass, and saxophone and flutes. So yeah, I think it's very important to live today with the technology, and try to um, express yourself with the tools that are given to you today. The same way when synthesizer came around in the early 70s, bands started, they jumped on them, and it changed the face of music. It gave birth to a new bands, new sounds, and so it keeps progressing like this, and it's fascinating. I just love the whole concept.
So you're not afraid of AI or anything like that. It sounds like have you guys dabbled with it or
The,
AI.
AI,
AI?
no AI, no. AI is not part of our vocabulary right now. No, you have lots of ready-made music out there where you don't even have to be a musician. The machine is going to give it to you. AI is part of the deal. You can ask AI, please create a song in the way Led Zeppelin did it. You can add your own lyrics, choose a female or a male singer, and push a button, and within 30 seconds, you have a song. Okay. Yes.
Soulless song, a soulless song.
Yeah, that's it. I
Soulless, yeah.
mean, yeah. There's a lot of things out there. Yeah, no, we still work from the ground up. I mean, all the songs are composed by ourselves and arranged by ourselves, played by ourselves. Although we use machines, I play drums. I don't ask the computer to give me a rhythm. I'm going to create that rhythm. I use the rhythm with sampled sounds, but I'm the creator of the rhythm
Yeah.
itself. The same way with the bass or any other instrument. We don't use loops, prefabricated music. We create everything from the ground up.
Did you guys happen to see that news report? I don't know if it was 60 Minutes or one of those where they actually brought this guy in. He created this female artist and they created a song with AI, put it out there, and people are going crazy over it. I mean, it's scary. It really is scary. Um, she doesn't exist. They want to be, all these people wanted to be part of her social media, her, you know, go and see her live in concert. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It's sad. It is sad because,
Well, I believe I always worry when something is too big or too popular, because somewhere there's a manipulation. It's planned, it's marketing, and you have very good marketers out there. The music industry in the 60s, 70s, 80s was completely different. When it collapsed, it became something completely wild, and anyone as I told you, you don't have to be a musician today to put a band together. I remember Thomas one day called me and he goes, "I see this guy. He is a record label, and none of the bands he puts out exist.
Yeah.
It's all AI. It's all AI." And I went and I checked it on Bandcamp, and I saw it's all fake and it's selling. And I'm going like, wow, it's insane.
But why are you surprised? Most of the stuff we see on the internet is fake anyway. It's
That's
full
true.
of holes and omissions mostly. It tells half of the story and not the full story, and it creates a sense of control. So I mean, the problem with AI is that if it's a tool that is used to clean my house, to cook my food, and to make sure that my lawn is clean, that's fine. But when it starts creating music and art, then it's not, the word creation is wrong.
Yeah.
It's producing music. It's not creating music. It becomes a product in the real sense of the term, that there was no thought process behind it and
Yeah,
no feeling.
yeah, but one thing also you have to take into
That's good.
account here is AI cannot function if you don't feed it information. So it only creates things that you gave him. So if there was no music, if you don't give him references like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, King
Mhm.
Crimson, it won't be able to cough up anything. So it's secondhand music.
That's right. Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
nothing original.
Exactly. Secondhand music. That's very good.
That's a
We
great
should
way
do
of
our
saying
next album like that.
No, but we
have
don't do.
a song about that. Yeah, definitely. And then we didn't give Thomas a chance to talk about his which instruments do you play?
Well, I'm the enigmatic part of the band. He's the sound machine part. I'm
Okay.
the enigmatic part. So my history is a bit different. Yes, I grew up in the period together when this in the early 70s. We saw all these concerts, and I've been a prog fan ever since. And I had the opportunity of either becoming a musician at the age of 18 or pursuing law studies, which I incidentally subsequently abandoned. And I chose the latter, the second one, because my parents, just like yours, what we were talking about earlier about going to see certain concerts that were not good. So I basically decided that instead of becoming a musician, I'm going to become a musicologist. Now, what that means is that I become a collector. I collect music. If you go into my home, you will be surrounded by walls and walls and walls and walls of CDs that would make Roger Waters cry. He's the wall specialist, right?
Yes, he is.
So yeah, so I collect music. I've always collected music, and about 25 years ago, I started writing. I started putting out reviews for Prague Archives, and then lately on my Facebook page, Prague Rogue, I also do House of Prague, which is in the United States, and I've been pushing out reviews with the condition, and only one condition, is that I only do positive reviews. I'm not a critic, in other words. I'm not interested in telling a band that they don't know how to play, because they should know themselves that they don't know how to play, and they don't need me to be their mouthpiece. So I'm a promoter of music. And by being that, as Jeremy once told me, actually at the meeting where we decided to come together, he said, I know that you're not a musician, but you have an encyclopedic knowledge of music, and progressive in particular, that will help me to be able to create music that I could only dream of, because I can provide the background, the inspiration, and the knowledge to do so. So how we work is really very, very simple. First of all, we put in a plan since day one. We have a strategy. Jeremy started out, even though he was a progger, he was deeply influenced by the 1980s Kraftwerk, Telex,
Oh,
electronic Tangerine Dream universe,
Larry Fest.
which is fine. Which is fine. I mean, there's no problem with that at all. And he basically was a founding member of a pop band called Men Without Hats, which of course are
Oh
universally
yeah.
well known.
Yeah.
Yes. So, which I incidentally was present when that band was formed also, because again, this was a very tight social circle. We all knew each other. And So I was fully aware that we had to go from step one to step two to step three. I have a day job where I'm a planner and an executor and very organized person. So we created a system by which the first album would be, it's very hard to become famous. It's very hard to be even known. So let's put out something. It's like putting your foot in the water and see where it goes and to see if the water is cold. So we put out the first album, Telepathic Waves, which was, a very organic form of synth pop, if you like, but with a lot of clever melodies, a lot of, because that's the one thing that makes prog so interesting is the whole melodic side, right?
Yeah.
So that album was very, very interesting because it got all Jeremy into a very musician mode as opposed to an artistic mode. The second album, Hierarchies of the Angels, was the transition away from that first album towards where we eventually wanted to go with Imperfect Silence, is to create a sort of a stepping stone between sophisticated synth pop, electronic rock, and progressive rock, which we did ultimately with the one song that came out that we did the video and we were shocked to see how huge it became was After the Flood, which was an instrumental. That's what we called between all of us a beautiful piece of music,
Oh yeah.
and that's where he was even more comfortable to take that other step to go even deeper and let's go get some mellotrons and let's go get some flutes and let's go get some sax, which then subsequently appeared on Imperfect Silence. So my role here is more of a, someone very nicely put it. He is the brick and I'm the mortar. We,
There
we
you
sort
go.
of, built that
Yeah.
wall together. We discuss everything. We agree on 97%, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
97% of what comes out. It's very much let's try this, let's try that. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And the answer is never no. So creatively speaking, this is as a perfect relationship as one can hope for, both on a personal level and on an artistic level. And wait till you hear the next album. Ooh.
Oh, I bet you it's going to be incredible. This one in itself is absolutely incredible. Um, I'm trying to look up just so I make sure I get it right. What was the famous song off of Men Without Hats? I mean, um,
Which
if I,
one?
Men Without Hats.
Safety Dance.
yeah, that's the one. I
Yeah.
was 99.999% sure, but there was that little bit of doubt left, but absolutely. So, how many people out there have heard Safety Dance?
Yeah.
Millions. And this guy helped make it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a fun, absolute fun video too. And
Yeah,
it makes you
and
want to get
actually,
up and dance. Huh? I'm
yeah,
sorry.
actually, one thing I have to say about that song "Safety Dance" is that at the time, I'm the one who came with the machines, and that song was born out of machines, sequencers, rhythm machines, and synthesizers. So history repeats itself.
There you go. All right. So we talked a little bit about some of your influences, but who are your main influences? I mean, there's
Well,
so
yeah,
many, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah. The main influence in my case is has to be Pink Floyd. When I heard them early on, I was blown away by all the aspects of their music, especially the melodies and the fact that they could go anywhere and they went places
Everywhere.
where no other band could
Yeah.
could go. So that is a main influence. Um, uh, that's I would say that's my favorite band, all-time band. But King Crimson was also a major influence. Genesis was another major influence. There's so many good bands from that era. Led Zeppelin is a major influence as well. Yeah, we were very lucky. We grew up in this amazing era where
Yeah.
music was absolutely something else.
And that's very interesting point because See, one of the big differences between the 70s and today is that in the 70s, music was not compartmentalized or labelized.
No.
You could
Yeah.
go in and buy a Wishbone Ash album, a Tangerine Dream album, a Weather Report album, a Miles Davis album, and I don't know, Southside Johnny and the Jukes. You know
Jukes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there was absolutely no barrier that forced you to stick to only one kind of music. It was extremely diverse, and the more diverse it was, the more freaky it was. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like bands like Gong. When you think about it, that trilogy is mind blowing. I mean, for something that was created in the 70s, it's still weird by today's standards. So we had things like, everything that Jeremy said in terms of influences are the same. Obviously, me as being a collector, it's very wide. My all-time favorite band is Roxy Music because the
Oh, yeah.
first two Roxy Music albums were incredibly innovative in a multitude of ways. The lineup, the way they were dressed, his voice, Eno. I mean, the list goes. The covers, right?
He's a
Which some of
great
them were
singer.
even banned. It's like they were absolutely a very avant-garde, daring, ballsy band, and I fell in love with them day one. In fact, I was lucky to get that very first debut album before it was even released. I was
Wow.
in school in Switzerland, and someone went to EG Records and came back with 10 copies, and I got one of them. So,
Wow.
bands like Talk Talk, bands like Ultravox, John Fox, Magazine, even though not necessarily still directly in the prog universe, they were still very much influenced by the technology we were talking about earlier, but they were also extremely well composed, well thought out, a lot of melodies, a lot of very clever arrangements, and really not commercial at all. I mean, the bands that I mentioned were not mega stars; they were just very good.
I'm glad he mentioned that too, because I grew up in one of those melting pots in Cleveland, and I think that's why we got the Hall of Fame. And because the same thing, we had a radio station there, WMMS. They would play funk. They would play uh, early rap. They would play rock and roll. They would play progressive. You'd hear, Supper's Ready right next to um, I don't know, Donna Summer,
Psychedelic.
uh, and I actually for a while went into that disco phase too. So they left, and that's the wonderful thing about it. They let you decide,
Exactly.
and no one, and that was a funny thing. You would have thought that these progressive people would have wrote in and say, "Why did you play Donna Summer?" Or "Why did you do this?" That never happened, or if it did, they never talked about it. It was everything was open. You could hear whatever
Yeah.
you wanted to hear, and these people were bringing it to you. Yeah, maybe the labels are like, "Why are you playing that stuff?" But no, they didn't listen to them. They did it, and that's great. I'm glad you guys had that same kind of experience, because that was the same experience for me. I got to hear everything imaginable, and I mean they even put some country bands on, or country rock bands, so it was just wide open. And now you have everyone's got a little category that they're in, and that's all they listen to, and that's really a shame. That's why when I do my reviews, I believe what you said is absolutely correct. Don't criticize. Don't bring down the bands you don't like. I do put in, if I get surprised and they do a lot of growling that I didn't expect, I do put that in there, and I'm like, they could hold that held back on that.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's not a criticism. That's just a question of
yeah,
taste. So
well,
it's
and you're right. And the thing I don't understand about, I just want to get this out there. The other thing I don't understand about growling is I know it's new and it's like a fad thing, but I mean, you look at Ozzy Osbourne, the worst, the most, heavy metal people out there never had to growl. They naturally had the power and the whatever the
the pipes.
yeah, the way of singing that just you didn't need all that junk. I mean, to me, I can't even understand what they're saying. And even with the lyrics, I mean, you're like, this doesn't match up. But anyway, okay, enough about that. But no, I'm so happy that you guys grew up in that kind of atmosphere. I wish we could bring it back because kids nowadays need it. And that's why you don't have, I think, let's see if you guys agree, you don't have the splendor of being able to listen to all these different sounds that we used to. It's all sort of regimented and it a lot of it unfortunately sounds the
Formula.
same.
Yeah, formula.
And
Yeah.
and that really, I mean, think about, you'd have the Eagles on one minute, you'd have Donna Summer, Michael Jackson, the next minute, and you're like, oh my God, this is great. And now no one would do that probably, or
No,
not
No.
many radio
but
stations.
see, somehow with enigmatic sound machines, we're trying to reconcile those two worlds. I believe we are going ahead and trying different things, but at the same time, we carry on
The tradition.
Yeah.
uh, baggage, everything we heard. Some people hear influence of Pink Floyd, and there is one. And so, yes, so
And he gets comments saying that he sings like Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins all the time. I
I
don't
wonder
understand.
who said that. No,
It's in our
I,
review.
I,
It's in our reviews. We've seen it.
yeah,
well,
I think
I didn't
I think
compare him to Peter,
somehow
but I did compare him to Phil. Definitely.
I was referring to you.
I
Yeah,
think
no, okay, thank you. But yeah, there's only one Peter Gabriel, and
I
the
do.
people that
yes,
are
I
and the
agree.
people that are sitting in for him, and I love Steve Hackett. His music is fantastic. But anyway, there's no Peter Gabriel. I mean, you got to have somebody up there singing, and I understand that. But I wish those two could get together and but anyway, all of us do. I'm sure all of us would love to see that again. Um, okay, let's switch subjects for just a minute. We're going to definitely come back to music, but let's talk to him about Montreal. Where are your favorite places to go? What if and someday I'm going to do it because I definitely want to go to Quebec and that beautiful hotel. It looks like a castle, but that's Quebec, not
Chateau
Montreal.
Frontenac. Chateau Frontenac.
Frontenac. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, no,
yes,
sorry.
yes.
Yeah, that's it.
No,
Yeah,
you're right. La Chateau Frontenac. Because I
yes,
put that on here. I was going to ask you about it. Have you guys been there? But
I have.
that's not Montreal. That's
Quebec
Quebec,
City.
which is a little upriver,
Yep.
and they're right on the St.
St.
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
We call it the St. Lawrence Seaway. I think you guys call it the St. Lawrence River,
Yes,
or do you also call it the Seaway?
because as you go past Quebec City and up to the coast towards the Atlantic, you start seeing whales. So it's not a seaway anymore. It really is
Okay.
starting to be an ocean.
The ocean.
So it's really a river that opens up into a huge passage into the ocean. Yeah,
All
beautiful
right. So
countryside
that's
there.
something everyone should see. Didn't know that they had whales.
Mhm.
What else? What would if so? Let's say we're packing our bags. We're going to go to Montreal. Where's the first place we should go?
Well, one of the most unique aspects of this city for is not the underground city. They talk about this underground city that is some kind of amazing achievement, the eighth wonder of the world, where Montrealers know very well that it happened purely by happenstance, where they simply connected all the basements of the downtown core with tunnels. And this was not pre-planned in any way, shape, way, or form. So that while it's minus 30 below zero in a snowstorm, you can actually go around shopping, eating, and living without putting your nose outside, which in a climate like we have, which is not far from Cleveland, as you know, you get your snowstorms there too,
Oh yeah.
uh, would be perceived as being something of interest. Montreal's number one attraction, and I believe that almost everyone would say this, is that in the smack middle of the city, we have a huge, well, relatively huge park called Mount Royal. And
Oh
in
yeah.
this when you're there, you're completely surrounded 360 degrees by urban sprawl. Okay. But when you're there, you have no clue that you're in a city. There's no
Trees.
noise. There's no just trees and it's quiet and there's pheasant and there's rabbits running around. It's like it's sort of like a zoo that was planted in the middle of the city. It's an oasis of comfort. Every Montrealer goes there at least once or twice a year just so that they can understand what it means to be peaceful in an urban
And
environment.
by the way, Montreal comes out of the name
Mont
Mount
Royal, yeah,
Mont-Royal,
yes.
Montréal.
Yeah. So
Unreal.
it is the number one attraction because you don't see this anywhere else. People will say, "Oh, well, there's the park in New York City." Yeah, but that's not the same. It's not a mountain. It's just a park. This is a mountain actually. It's actually a huge hill.
Yeah, but
Well,
for well-traveled people, Montreal is a village. I have to say it's a very small city
Mhm.
compared to New York, London, or Paris. It's very small. Uh, and the other attraction would be Old Montreal.
Oh yes, the old
Old
Montreal, of
Montreal,
course.
which has a little bit of European touch out there, where you have old architecture but other than that, it's not a big city, which is the charm about Montreal. It's very easy to get around. Actually, I should correct that. No longer, because everything is under constructions lately. So there are roadblocks everywhere. But
but
other
that's
than that,
probably going to stop soon because the winter's coming. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the
Well,
summers are difficult. Yes.
the summer, yeah, they do all the
Summers are
construction.
difficult.
But I want to speaking of hats, take my hat off to Canada because we live. I'm in Bellingham, actually, not Seattle anymore.
Yes,
And
I know where that is. I've been there.
you've been there, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been to Seattle and Lake Chelan and Wenatchee. I visited all those places.
But
Yeah.
Bellingham,
Oh yeah, I was there also. Yeah.
okay. Well, so one of our favorite things, my wife and I, is to go up to Vancouver, of course, and they have Stanley Park. It seems like every city in Canada has this big park area with a respect to nature. And everywhere you go in Vancouver and in and around Stanley Park, there's flowers. It's beautiful. The understanding of, like you said, culture, nature, things that we sort of take for granted here. We do Seattle. No, Seattle definitely is different. I think anywhere on the West Coast is different, and the East Coast for that matter. But it gets lost in the Midwest where I'm from. I mean, now they have fixed Cleveland. We used to have the burning river. And, I don't know if you guys have ever heard that the Cuyahoga River actually caught fire. Um, yeah, I
That's a
know.
sign.
Can you imagine a river catching
River
fire?
that catches fire. Hmm.
But
Wonder what they put
when I
there.
was growing up, yeah, when I was growing up, it was headlines, and that's how bad the pollution and everything was. But anyway, let's not talk about that. But again, I just really want to thank Canada for the way they take care of things and the way they give you that opportunity, like you said, to get away from that urban complex. You have big cities. Vancouver's a huge city, and you can go out to Stanley Park and you don't even know you're in a city anymore. And it's beautiful. And right next to that is my favorite place to go, English Bay. If you haven't been there, go there. It is, I mean, it's like California. They actually have palm trees and everything. You're like, this is Canada. You know, that ice, yeah, everyone has this, Arctic view of Canada. No, no, it's not. It's beautiful. And Calgary, Edmonton, that area is beautiful as well. There's more. There's much more. And I already mentioned Quebec, but um, And that one last thing, and then I'm going to shut up because my wife was always like, "You always talk too much." But I went up, and the thing that attracted me to Vancouver is I went up there in '86 for the expo, and they had, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, but they had this fly over Canada video that they had this beautiful like theater that they built, and you stood in the middle of the of a round theater, and everywhere you turned, you'd see this. I don't know if it was HD back then, but it looked like it. And you'd see all of Canada. And if you haven't, one of the things we want to do is take a train and go across the country someday. But yeah, it's just the the European, and I'm going to give it to Europe, that European sense of culture and preserving nature is
Yeah,
so important. And thank you. All right, I'm going to stop talking. Um, what are your favorite places to eat?
I'm gonna let him talk because he's a restaurant specialist.
Oh, okay.
Well, unfortunately, there was, we had something called COVID.
Oh,
And without entering too much into the political debate, a lot of the mom and pop small businesses that were representative of the culinary history of this city, because back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, Montreal was a food capital, a worldwide recognized food capital, where people literally came from all over the world because they knew they were going to eat really, really well, and for a multitude of reasons, mostly, French chefs, Italian chefs, Spanish chefs from all over the world. Literally, Montreal was a stepping stone into North America. So many did not even continue forward. Some went to Toronto and beyond. So it used to be a huge culinary capital with a great accent on. There was even a French colleague of mine who said, "You almost have as many great cheeses in Quebec than we have in France." Which is a big thing because in France there's 1,500 different kinds of cheese. So
yeah.
right now, COVID, what it did is that it killed off a lot of these restaurants. It will come back, I would presume so. But in the meantime, what has happened is that it has sort of regressed into what we call neighborhood restaurants. So in our neighborhood, we have a little street called Monkland Village, which, maybe 50 years ago was a lower middle class neighborhood, very prim and proper, but nothing extravagant. Now it's a bit more upper class, still very hippie-ish in many ways. It's quite funny. And strangely enough, 50% Anglophone and 50% Francophone.
Oh,
So everyone speaks pretty much both languages and can go from one to the other like a tennis game. So we have like a dozen restaurants on the city which Jeremy and I go to simply because out of convenience. The reason why I'm saying this is we mentioned that earlier in there's a lot of urban development, bicycle paths everywhere, which has reduced parking. The number one problem in Montreal is parking. You cannot find it anywhere. Summer, winter, it doesn't matter. There's always some problem. So what that does, it forces you to become more neighborhood. I'm not going to go, halfway across the city to eat because where am I going to stick my vehicle? This is particularly with Old Montreal, where you really can't find any parking because the city was built 400 years ago. I mean, it's one of the oldest cities, if not the oldest in North America. So what do? I mean, the streets are narrow. You can't widen them. So
no.
it makes it very complicated. So there are a few in this. It's becoming very neighborhoodish. In other words, still very good food, but neighborhoodish.
And I've heard that walking through the tour of just walking through the downtown area is one of the places to go, right?
Mostly the old city, what
The
is
old
called
city, yeah.
Old Montreal. Yeah, that is quite beautiful. Absolutely.
One last thing, the Notre Dame Basilica. Have you guys been there? That from pictures looked pretty astonishing.
Well, we have two. We have Notre Dame Basilica, which is in the downtown core, and we also have the oratory, the St. Joseph's Oratory,
That's right.
which is interesting only because it's on top of the hill that I mentioned to you, this park that we're
Right,
talking.
right. Yeah.
And you can literally see that from 50 miles away. I mean,
Oh, wow.
anywhere around, you can see this thing in the horizon. It's unmistakable. I mean, that's incidentally why it was created in the first place, right? To be as visible as possible from far. So that's still the case because there's nothing covering it.
All right. And have either of you been to France? Speaking of France,
Of course, he has lived there. I've been there. Absolutely.
Yes.
what's the best place to go there? I mean, there's a lot
Where in
in
France?
In
the
in
South.
France,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not Paris.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's saying that lately, and I can't believe it.
No, it's
So the
Everything,
south of France?
everything has changed there, but yeah, no, Paris still is the main place because of the cultural artifacts and all the museums and everything. You cannot avoid Paris. You can't.
mm,
Uh, but yeah, that's the main place, and then there will be
yes.
the south of France, the Côte d'Azur, which is like very, very nice.
Provence,
Yeah.
beautiful. Everything from Lyon downwards. Avignon, you go see the bridge. It's not as crazy as you think it is, but it's still interesting. The people are much more low key. It's a slower, warmer, more relaxed environment than the big city, and the people are invariably extremely accommodating. The French have a bad reputation, but that's the big city syndrome.
We
Go to New York, you'll see what
But
it
the,
means.
but the thing is
Yeah.
also you have to realize France, for example, fits six times into just the province of Quebec,
Wow.
right? It's very small. It's very
Yeah.
small. You can drive and in 6 hours go from the top north of France to the south. It's very small. And here in Canada, it's completely different. You can drive for 6 hours and you not even getting close to where you're going,
Yeah.
right? It's very big.
You-
So on that note, there's an amusing thing, is that as you know, if you look at a map of Canada, pretty much all the major cities are all in one line near the American border. Edmonton is a bit the exception. And then pretty much for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometers north, there's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And people do not realize what nothing means. So there's a city in Ontario called Sudbury, and there's a little town a little north of that called Cochrane. There is a sign on the outside of Cochrane heading north. There's a huge gas station with jerry cans, and there's a huge sign that says, if you are traveling north, you better have gas.
There's nothing. Yeah.
So you have to fill up your vehicle. You have to fill up 4 or 5 jerry cans because the next filling station is 500 or 600 kilometers away.
Wow.
Which, if you're living in Europe, 5 kilometers is already
It's a
something.
long time. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't get lost in Europe,
Yeah.
but you can certainly get lost in Canada. That's I can vouch for it.
And
That's
most of your cities, like most of ours, were built near rivers or lakes or some
yeah.
kind of for travel and commerce and uh, logistics, things like that. And same with you guys. Yeah. Um, all right. I was going to ask you one more thing. Oh, yeah. Um, the other thing that if you didn't know this, these guys I'm sure know this. Well, no, I know they know this. But the other thing that is wonderful about Canada is they embrace two languages. You have everything is printed in two languages. And they're both the official language of Canada,
Mhm.
right? So English and French.
Mhm.
And as these guys are proving right here, they definitely know how to speak English, and I'm sure they also know how to speak French as well. Um, that again, there's there's a level of um, acceptance that is so wonderful. The minute I cross the border, I don't worry like I do if I go to Seattle anymore. I used to not. I used to walk the streets of downtown Seattle when I worked down there. I'd go to the Place Market for lunch. Now I don't know if I'd do that. And when I go to Vancouver, I've never worried. I've run into people from all over the world, Turks and uh, Indians, and just, a mass melting pot of people. And no one has ever given us problems or you never feel that. And it's a wonderful feeling. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's inherently the difference between the two countries. When immigrants arrived on Ellis Island, they were told right there and then that if you want to become an American, you better say goodbye to your king
Yeah.
and your government and your culture because you're becoming an American today.
Yeah.
In Canada was completely different. They embraced you and saying you can keep your culture, you can keep your religion, you can keep your language. In fact, you can speak as many languages as you want. My parents taught me seven languages from the
Wow.
ages of 5 to 19, which I still, of course, obviously have today. I mean, would that be, it's almost unbelievable. When I go to the States and I
That
tell
is.
them that I speak seven languages, they go, are you a robot? Are you AI? Are you human? How can you possibly do that? Well, that shows you the difference.
Yeah.
Here, it's a land of acceptance. It's a land of I always said that Canada. There was once a Mexican politician who called Canada back in the 70s when they didn't have too much of a national identity. They said that it's a country that is a solution looking for a problem.
That's good.
Which was the case because Canadians were really never very nationalistic. Till today, they're not. Well, in sports, when it comes to
Sure.
hockey, as you know, being the natural religion in Canada, they're not overtly nationalistic and not overtly extremist in anything they believe in. It's basically a country where everyone sometimes as a Quebecer, I go out west and occasionally I land on an idiot because idiots are everywhere who
Yeah.
says, why do you guys want to separate all the time? And I tell them, and how long has this been going on? He says, 250 years. And I say, well, if after 250 years we're still not divorced, I think that sounds like marriage.
There you go. I'm
You know?
glad you brought that up because I was gonna ask, but I was like, you don't want to go down that political. But yeah, it seems that you guys have got that solved. I've never heard about Quebec wanting to uh, secede, or you're talking about the Canada, not us, because
Yes.
we also have a bunch of people that want to secede, and in fact, there's the whole Cascadia where we want to connect with British Columbia and become a new country, which that's not a bad idea, but no. But but no, you guys, that whole Quebec secession thing is hopefully never happening again, or because I remember when I was growing up, that was a big thing in the 70s, 80s, and it looked like it was going to happen, and thank God it didn't. But how do you?
Mark, the bottom line behind that and I've certainly learned that in my travels and my multinational background, is that you should be proud of who you are, but
Yeah,
respect the cultures of others.
yeah,
So, I always jokingly say that I'm the last person on earth who you could accuse of being a racist because then why in hell would I speak seven languages for? Right? By
yeah.
definition, there's something that doesn't make sense. So if you're such an ardent nationalist, then you would only speak one language and force everyone else to speak the same language. I
Yeah.
don't believe that. I think it's the exact opposite that should happen. The more the merrier, the more we intermingle and understand each other, the better the world will be. I mean, you can do this as the tourist, but seemingly we can't do it any other way.
Well,
Sad.
and bringing this back to music, the whole idea or concept behind, I think, that's just my feeling, behind progressive rock was for that to happen. You had King Crimson doing this thing, you had Genesis doing this, you had Led Zeppelin, you had all these other people doing different things that were still considered progressive rock. And that's how it should be. I think it still is. But yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, to flavor the point, I mean, it's just the other day we were working on the next album, and we're listening to a new track. And I leaned over to my esteemed colleague here and I said, "Tell me something. Do you maybe have some Japanese koto somewhere in your programs?" And he went and he got it, and he said, "Well, why don't we add that instead of what you we put originally?" And this is why we have such a good relationship. He said, "Why not? Let's see what happens." And he actually put it in, and to be honest, it was brilliant because it was exactly the mood that we wanted to create. So you're bringing in a Japanese influence into a retro futuristic modern electronic prog band. That's kind of like what we're all about, or what we were discussing. So there's no barriers, there's no boundaries. Both of us believe that it's the worst thing that has ever happened. Borders, not good. I mean, in some cases you need them because, if we opened up all the cages of a zoo, it wouldn't be
Yeah,
pretty. Like we,
no,
so in some cases, we need some kind of borders. But otherwise, like really,
No, but then also we have an advantage is that we use computer-based music, so we have access to any kind of sounds, and so we use a lot of classical instruments as well as like tubular bells, timbals, yeah,
pizzicato strings. Yeah.
yeah, the violins, anything.
all right, I'm going to give you another one of my favorite bands of the year, and they're right up here. Bella Morte. They're from Belarus, of all places,
Yeah,
Belarus, where you would think these people can't get anything in because of the political nature of the system they live in.
Hmm.
They said, we want Japanese music in this. We want South American music. They made an album, a United Nations album, and they're not progressive. They're metal, but I would consider them progressive metal.
Hmm.
The leader of the group, Anastasia, she went out and sent out letters to, and I guess probably through email, not letters, to uh, people that she saw on the internet that played these instruments because they didn't know how to play these Japanese instruments. They brought them in and put them on the album. So rather than, and there's nothing wrong with synthesizers, I love synthesizers. They actually brought in the people.
really
So if you get a chance, put that album on. And if you look through the booklet, you'll see, and on their website, they are on their Facebook website, they show a list of all these people. And they actually have sort of not the auditions, but you'll see these people actually playing these different instruments. And I keep mentioning it. I keep trying to push these guys because really no one else is doing that I've seen.
nice.
But it is an amazing. I think it's an amazing album. But if you get a chance, just Bella Marte. And I got it. It's the age. Pearl Hunting. Yeah, now I remember. The album is called Pearl Hunting, and that's exactly what they did. She went out and searched for pearls, and she got these pearls from all over the world. And it's like, well, you guys, yeah, I know you guys know Tea Party from Canada.
Hmm.
Same thing. I went to see them in 1980 or sometime in the 1980s. And Jeff was uh, like you collect albums, like I collect albums. He collects instruments. He went all over the world and he had all these things on stage. And he's telling us what they are, and then he plays them. And how anyone could play all these different instruments, it was pretty awesome. But same kind of thing. Broaden, broaden the spectrum. Don't narrow it. We have politicians trying to narrow everything, and from all sides, not just the right. Narrow everything down so that everyone believes this way. No, open it up, and that's why I had to mention them. And I'm sorry, doing this, but if you haven't heard that, please at least give it. And you may not like metal, and that's okay. But listen to what they did. It's just, to me, it's incredible that somebody did that in 2025. That's something I would have expected from the 70s, the 80s. And it's good to hear that there's some bands out there still doing those things.
Mark,
All
it's
right.
okay. It's okay if you talk a lot because you are the professor after all.
Well, I know, and that's what my wife says. It's like, you're not teaching anyone. Shut up. But yeah, I can't help myself sometimes. Okay, let's talk about your album. I'm sorry. But yeah, definitely, if you guys get a chance, check that out. All right. Imperfect Silence opens the album, and you definitely can feel that Pink Floyd sound, which do you guys, I got to ask you this one thing. Do you remember hearing Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon on CD for the first time? That was the first CD that I bought because I always loved that album. And like you, I'm sure you heard pops and skips, no matter how good you try to take
You
care of
heard
it.
it on vinyl
Well, yeah, no, I heard it on vinyl
when
first.
it came out.
Well, sure, sure. And I did too. But there was always those real quiet moments. You'd hear those pops and those skips. And I was like, someday they're going to figure out a way to, you know, get this out of there. And they did. And it's a CD. And I put that thing on for the first time and I sat back with my headphones. I was like, I'll never buy another album again. But I have. But I'm just saying, uh, do you remember that, or was I one of the only people that felt that?
Yeah, I had the chance to listen to The Dark Side of the Moon before they even recorded it because
Oh wow.
they played it live before they even went in studio and recorded it. And when they finally went in studio, it was recorded within a week, which
Right.
was unheard of at the time. So yes, when the album came out, I mean, to me, it was a game changer. I mean, that's the kind of album to this day.
Yeah.
Um, Difficult to top such a complete album. They know they did something pretty amazing at the time, and you can hear it every second listening to this album. I think it's one of the rare albums where you can listen to it from the very first second to the last one without getting bored.
And over and over and over
Yes.
and over and
And
over
I
and over.
don't think there's any other way. I mean, that's, again, I'm closing that loop, but um, there is no other way to listen to that. I can't imagine somebody just listening to
Yes.
Us and
Yes.
Them, or what's the other one?
Great gig in the sky,
Great Gig in the Sky, but the famous one, Money.
money.
You know, can you imagine someone? I only want to hear Money. I don't want to hear out. No, no, no. You got to listen to the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, you know the famous saying, the famous joke about how many prog fans does it take to screw in a light bulb?
yeah,
Only one, but it takes 22 minutes.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's wonderful. No, the longer the better. I always Supper's Ready is still my favorite song.
But
All
it's
right.
funny you mentioned that because I think that Jeremy will agree. I think the biggest, most stunning moment, as good as Dark Side of the Moon was, and as good as Selling in the Pound and Close to the Edge and Thick as a Brick, I must say that when Tubular Bells showed up the first time, that was shocking. It was shocking only because it was really the first album of a new company called Virgin Records, right? It's 001. It was basically one continuous piece of music
Yep.
that was played, believe it or not, on the radio here. We had Shom FM that
Yeah.
was playing that, and they had to have literally two copies of the album so that when the first side was over, they could start the second side on the second turntable
Yep.
so that it really gave you a 42-minute experience that people were calling up the radio station and saying, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah. The
Right?
same thing with Supper's Ready. I remember WMMS playing that, and I was like, back then it was, oh my God, this is wonderful. But you would never hear a radio station play something that long. I don't think, even though it's easier, like you say, you have CDs which you can flip over. You don't have to flip over.
Yeah.
Um, there was another thing that I was going to say. Let's come back to your song for a minute though, because I keep getting off on these tangents. Imperfect Silence. Talk a little bit about that. And both of you know Larry Fast, right?
Yes, Larry Fast, of course.
Yeah,
Synergy. Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
Synergy, yeah. And I was
Yeah.
during that time, during that Pink Floyd, whatever, I first heard him, and I was like, oh my God! And he did what's that song you always practice to? God bless. And I don't play any instruments. It'll come back to me. But
Song that who practices?
there's a song that they teach you. God, I can't think of the name of it. Well, anyway, keep going. But he does that on synthesizers and computers, and it's just amazing. It's coming to me. I can't remember. But you go ahead. Talk about this song. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
About Imperfect Silence.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the opening song of the album, and yeah, actually, when the album was written, there were seven songs, and I had one I wrote a couple of years ago, and I said to Thomas, I played it for him, and he said we have to include it in the album, and at the time it was called Silentium Incarnatum, which was inspired from the movie The Two Popes. So
Oh
yeah,
wow.
so Perfect Silence comes from there, and it's a very lyrical piece. It's I would say it's a half breed between progressive and classical music at times, because it uses a lot of classical instruments, flute, tubular bells, choirs, etc. So yeah, Thomas insisted we used it, and that's what happened. That's how we decided to name the album, and it remained instrumental, because technically I think the music talks for itself, and you have to learn at one point to step out from the vocals. If the music talks,
Yeah.
let it do the job. And yeah, very pleased with that piece actually, and it features Hansford Rowe on fretless bass, who did an amazing job on that song as well.
Yeah. Earlier, I was going to ask you, did you want to mention some of the other people that?
Yeah, yeah. There's Hansford Rowe on bass. There's Alain Roig on guitars. There's Alain Belaïch on guitars, and Rob Harrison on saxophone and flutes.
And pretty much the entire album
Yeah,
as well. We decided willingly that saxophone is going to be an added variety that would make the album really different from the first one, or the second one as well. But going back to Imperfect Silence, what was yes, there was a absolute yes vote and a golden buzzer and all kinds of gold confetti coming down when I heard it. I felt that it was very close to Vangelis in that
Yes.
sense. It was Jeremy was saying that it was a mixture of synthesized and orchestral music, but the bottom line was that the melody was heartbreakingly beautiful. And
Yes.
when that's apparent from like the first notes all the way through, the melody remains constant. It's a very simple chord too, but it's so achingly beautiful that I said, yes, this is beautiful. This needs to be on the album. And then we played a bit with the name by turning it from Silentium Incarnatum to Imperfect Silence, and then to create a little offshoot wordplay with Imperfect Perfect Silence and calling the album Imperfect Silence. So that was a little wordplay that we found very amusing.
It is.
And definitely we agreed within zero point 0.9 seconds, this is our
He
rule,
likes
that
that
it's
number.
going to be the opening of the album. It that was like an immediate yes.
Yes.
Okay, I remembered the song I was talking about it while I did some searching while you guys were talking. Classical Gas, isn't that sort of a practice song that everyone plays either on guitar or
Yes, Mason
keyboards?
Williams.
And
Mason
and
Williams.
um and actually Larry did that, a copy of it. It was a bonus track on his first album, Electronic Realizations for Rock Orchestra. And I just remembered that, but I mean, I didn't remember everything, obviously. But now there's that. And what was the other thing? There was something else. There's always something else. But um, okay, let's go to the next track and then that'll come back to me. Distance Between Here and Now.
Hello.
Yeah, the
Can you
distance
hear me?
between that's um,
Oh, okay. He's
I'm
making a
just saying
joke.
hello, hello, hello.
yeah,
He's
that's
making a
right.
joke. Yeah, okay, sorry.
The song with the most Pink Floyd influence, and yeah, it's a classic. To me, it's like a typical progressive song. The concept there between the lyrics is that, yeah, the distance between here and now is a very abstract answer, and wanted the song to reflect a little bit that atmosphere. Um, and yeah, you know, that album was written very fast. I believe the seven songs came within a couple of weeks, but it took 8 months to put together, record, produce, and mix. So, and each song grew from within. It's a little bit like planting a seed and watering it and watching the
Waiting.
plant
Yeah.
grow and the song develop until you realize, okay, it's grown and now it can go out and belong to someone else. Because once you release an album or once you release music, it doesn't belong to you anymore. Your job is done. Now it's going to talk to someone else.
And now I realize what Thomas was saying on the song. Jeremy does this hello, hello, hello. I forgot about that. Which does remind you of Comfortably Numb and the beginning and
Exactly.
all that. But yeah, absolute wonderful track if you haven't heard it. Are you guys fans at all of Traffic? Because I threw in a little
Yeah.
slice of the flute that reminded me a little bit of Traffic. Are you guys Traffic fans?
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
The
Yes.
Low Spark of High Heel Boys, Shootout at the Fantasy Factory, and my very first vinyl purchase on my own that I did not get from my parents because my
Oh,
parents, Steppenwolf, the first Santana. Um, my first album that I bought with my own money was John Barleycorn Must Die,
it's a wonderful album.
which
Yep.
is an amazing piece of music from beginning
Okay.
to.
Now you brought that up and you probably shouldn't because now I'm gonna which is better, Ian Anderson or Traffic? Which version?
I would still say the traffic one.
Traffic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah, Ian Anderson does a great job. I mean, Jethro Tull, they do a fantastic job, but yeah, there's something about that Traffic version. Good. Yeah, we agree on that.
Was extraordinarily simple, very deep. The sound is off the charts brilliant. I mean, that whole album, I mean, it starts with Glad, which is like about one of the best instrumentals
Yeah.
ever. It is a fascinating piece of saxophone in there throughout. It's a driving rhythm. We, in fact, have a song that will come up later on that was very traffic influenced, which is called Hallow, where we really had the traffic feel there in more
Yeah.
ways than one, with the little Jeremy doing his imitation of Rebop Kwakuba on percussion.
Yeah,
You
go
know.
ahead and talk about that one. Yeah, I mean, you already started, but yeah, no,
Hello.
it's
Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah,
yeah, the song was born out of a bass riff, the bass riff that opens the song, and then it dictated the whole rhythm section out of that. And the atmosphere was strange enough to how can I say, to call in for this hallowed be that name, hallowed be thy name,
yeah,
and the concept of someone meeting someone out of this world, different, kind of a messiah without being a messiah, but it's a special song in with the rhythm. The rhythm is different than anything else on the album. Um, it's and the guitars. There's great guitars from Alain Belaïch in there, um, and this kind of incantation with the "Hallowed be Thy name." Hallowed be thy that comes back and with the rhythm takes you to a spiritual place somehow, listening to the
It's just
song.
really interesting because throughout our records, we've put little glimpses of New Orleans, a little bit of Mark Bolan, a little bit of Dr. John, a little bit of little hints of this and there of not just necessarily electronic English or British prog influences, but really going. I mean, we had one song called "The Preacher," where I was forced by fears of crucifixion to create a violent sermon that hopefully was very much tongue in cheek. The idea is that when we did that, we felt like we were somewhere between Alabama and Kentucky. It was that kind of
yeah,
sort of a southern country, but not necessarily countrified style of music, as the ones that I mentioned to Dr. John. I mean, are we in the right place? But must have been
yeah,
the
yeah,
wrong
yeah,
time. I mean, it
yeah,
was that kind of sort of, very, very loose. And I personally love Hallow. I think it's an amazing song because it is different from the preceding songs and different from the next ones. And it creates this sort of, I don't know, urban party late night atmosphere, which was, I mean, for me, the definition of traffic. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know if you agree, but if you listen to The Low Spark of High Heeled Boys or Shootout at the Fantasy Factory, you're not looking at sunshine. It is a very urban evening style kind of, candles are lit and you're relaxed kind of attitude.
yep.
So
And
traffic, yes, to answer your question, amazing band.
But when a song comes to you, you have to it's a little bit like walking into a new place. You have to discover, you have to make sure you respect what came to you and develop it and live and exist within it and extract all the emotions possible out of the sounds, out of the chords, out of the melodies, and try to channel that through lyrics as well. Um, and the way the instrumentation is used in that song. So and it's the same for every single song. It takes time to travel through a song, and the idea is to bring something out to the listener. So he's always intrigued, and he's always you always have it,
Stimulated.
yeah, stimulated as you go, and
That's the difference with AI music. You see what Jeremy just said, this whole sentence.
yep,
This is what AI is unable and unwilling to do.
yep,
Exactly that. The whole,
yeah.
taking it and timefully and carefully and thinking it over and trying to squeeze out the best emotion,
Yeah,
that's
I believe a good song is a good incantation. It's something that calls different, it calls different energies and opens doors to you as you listen to it. I mean, if you manage to create that in the listener, then mission accomplished.
Well, and you guys are doing that, and that you brought up something very important. Not only is AI not doing that, but artists of today aren't doing that. And that's why we need people like you, people like me that experienced all this stuff in back of us to, give that to this younger generation and say, yeah, listen to Traffic, listen to Led Zeppelin, listen to the Beatles, listen to these guys and pull something from that. No, not copy. I'm not saying copy, but be inspired by it. Find something that helps you connect with that because it
Mhm.
was for the world. The 60s, 70s was, and the 80s. I would throw the 80s in there, that whole new wave
Absolutely.
Yes.
absolutely turned the classical kind of music that you heard in the 60s and 70s, turned it on its ear and brought back pop, um, and made pop fun. I mean, Duran Duran, Men Without Hats, all these bands, they absolutely, I remember when I first got MTV on cable, I was like, oh my God, I'll never listen to an album again. And no, now I'll never watch that channel anymore because they don't even play. I don't know if they even play music videos anymore because they've got so many shows. But yeah, that whole era was another great era of discovery and people.
I think the
I
pendulum is
mean, you
swinging.
had you had people playing like horns like you heard from Chicago, and Chicago got all this negative stuff about always doing that, but I actually like Chicago. But they brought back a lot of music, saxophone that had been left behind. Pink Floyd had that, and then you just didn't hear it for a while, and then the 80s they brought a lot of that stuff back. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that the pendulum is swinging because I think what's happening, being, of course, a reviewer, I pay a lot of time. I spend a lot of time searching and looking and hearing and listening and whatever. And just a few months ago, I had this 17-year-old friend of a friend of mine, son of a friend of mine, who said, "Oh, I discovered something really brilliant the other day," and I'm going like, "Oh my God, what is this going to be?" No, I heard this song that it hit me so much. I had to listen to it like 20 times. It is so beautiful. And I said, "Well, what's the name of the song?" And he tells me, "Riders on the Storm."
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going, wow, that is awesome. Classical music in 2025. Yes. So there's so many reaction channels. I don't know, Mark, if you had the chance to look at some of them on YouTube, where you have some of these, brothers in Harlem, with the yo bro doing reaction videos, and they're saying like, yo, I just got this request for some band called Pink Floyd, and it's called whoa, what's it? Well, Comfortably Numb. Well, I've never heard of Pink Floyd. Let's listen to it. And you see his face melt after a few seconds,
Yep.
and completely blown away by everything that he has heard. And I had no idea that this music existed. And you're seeing this, and then you see him move from that to Firth of Fifth,
Yeah,
and then
wow.
moving that to Thick as a Brick, and then moving, along the path all the way from, I don't know, Al Stewart and who knows what, and suddenly realizing that there's this huge, massive amount of progressive music that he didn't even know about, that would take
It,
a lifetime to listen to.
it's
It's incredible.
amazing if you ever go, and there's so few of them. You guys have more, but record stores. I walked into, well, we have a couple of them here in Bellingham, and you see these young kids, my son and younger, and they're buying vinyl, and it almost makes you cry. You're like, oh, look at this! I got this Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and you're like, yeah, I have that at home too. But
The
I
poor
mean,
kid.
no, it's just so wonderful when you see that, and you hope. Do you guys remember Peaches Records?
Peaches?
Yeah,
No,
maybe it didn't come to Canada,
no, it didn't come.
but they used to
We
have
didn't
the.
have Power either, Even
You didn't
Tower
have
never.
Tower either. Oh yeah, those are both. We didn't hit, I think there was a Tower Records in Seattle, but Peaches Records to me was the record store. I mean, they had all those big billboards, so if Michael Jackson's album, they'd have his album cover, on the front of the building. And you'd walk in there and there'd be, it's kind of like this. I guess that's where I got the idea. But but yeah, I mean, they really celebrated music, and I remember I could sit there for hours, and you guys too, looking for new stuff and so many things. I'm not going to go into the story, but finding IQ for the first time in the religious section, just like they found Genesis, like some people found Genesis in their first album, from Genesis to Revelation. It was somebody put it in the religious, music area, and some guy bought it, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is not that. This is something completely different." But I found IQ in that same sort of area, and yeah, those little discoveries that you find are just it's wonderful to see it's happening again, and I hope it just keeps going. We're getting off course here, but we love talking about music. But let's one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you sort of mentioned it. What is the concept, the overall concept? Because it's progressive rock. Usually we make a lot of concept albums, but go ahead. I'm gonna stop.
The concept is not having one somehow. It's follow your bliss. It's open yourself to everything, and mostly follow melodies, develop the best melodies possible. So in order to work those melodies, you have to look for the right chords. And once again, everybody uses the same music notes. Everybody uses the same chords. Now it depends how you inhabit them, how you put yourself in there. Yeah, our mission more or less is to try to always surprise, always take you different places, because I believe it's important not to repeat something. You can get influenced, and you can
Yeah.
you can use flavors, but going somewhere different is important. Instead of always, we have a little edge in the progressive world, I believe, because we use machines, and very little bands use machines. And because we're gonna have to go live next year, we are going towards more acoustic
Organic.
and organic sounds, but there will always be the machine in there. But the idea is to always take the listener into an unexpected voyage, something different.
You reminded me of another question I was going to ask you. Are you? It sounds like you've already answered it, but is there a full scale tour, and will you just do the whole album, or you'll do songs from the other albums as well?
The question is,
Well, are we going to be on tour and are we going to
well,
do the whole album?
the plan is we have to attend a couple of festivals next year, so there will be a band, and to go on tour, you first have to generate enough sales and enough fans to request touring is difficult. I mean, you need to build the audience. We are a young progressive band. What I mean by that is that we only have 3 years of existence, 3 albums. A lot of bands, the ones that tour today, exist for 30, 20 years. So they do have a baggage with them, and a lot of fans that follow their progression. We are brand new on the market, and especially in the progressive market, only 2 albums, because I would consider the first one is not a progressive album. So yeah, let's see what happens. Looking forward to go back on stage and to have a great lineup, and let's see what happens. I have no clue. I believe as well the next album will also bring new opportunities. I believe that yes, Imperfect Silence just came out a couple of months ago, but we are always working ahead. We're always looking at the future, and everything is looking good so far.
So what's
That's
that?
what,
What's
oh, I was just going to say, how is the album doing? How is it selling? And
How?
how is it selling?
Well, it's too soon to say. It just came out a couple of months ago, so yeah, you need more time to
sure.
really say that. And that's the we haven't had any report sales report yet. It's too soon.
I
Okay.
mean, what's really important is that we're trying to communicate is that we have a plan. This was all very planned from the beginning. I mean, obviously, we just launched an album 2 months ago, and we pretty much have the next album ready. I mean, it's not done yet because there's a lot of work to be done still, but actually, the basic body and the skeleton is already in place. Number of songs, titles, basic sound is already done. So we are not 22 years old, and neither him nor me. I mean, this is makeup, what you're seeing, everybody. But uh, we're doing this for legacy. We're not doing this for groupies, money, fame, fortune, not even. What actually we're looking for, believe it or not, is respect,
Yeah.
just simply respect from the progressive community. So when we're added to respectful sites like Prog Archives, where I also post my reviews, as well as House of Prog and many of the other radio stations, Progzilla is playing our music as well. So for us having an audience at this young stage, I go back to we like the biblical implications here. If we have only one fan, it's like having the entire universe.
Yeah.
The problem is when you have zero fans, then you have a really big problem because you're doing it for nothing.
Yeah.
So the way we see this is very simple. We're looking at Roger Waters' big wall, but we're not seeing a wall. We're seeing bricks, and we're putting the bricks together one by one, building our own little mini wall, if you like, knowing full well that it will never be fully erected, but we really don't care. We want to leave a legacy. Leaving music behind, it's a beautiful thing. It's a
Definitely.
beautiful, beautiful thing when you think about it. You're leaving behind something that is inherently beautiful,
And
right?
will
And
be played many, many, many times, hopefully.
somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. Do
And
you
people
want to
don't
talk?
realize that the progressive world is very interesting. When I suggested to Jeremy that maybe we should go more in the progressive community, the information that I gave him that really clicked with him is that if we can have 5 fans of our music in every major city on this planet, we are dead laughing. Like we're laughing ourselves to create. I mean, and as you know, the world in which we live
Yeah.
in, 5 people in every major city is feasible.
Yeah. Yeah.
500, maybe not, but five, most possible. Could be.
All right. And I was going to ask you the let's talk. I want to come back just for a minute here because I don't know if you could see it, but I have the Mama. That was my first Genesis tour. Didn't happen until then, which is very frustrating. But by then I could do my own thing. And anyway, uh, so that was my first tour. And Haunted kind of has Jeremy kind of brings out that Phil Collins Mama vocal. Uh, Anything to that, or no? You're way off, Mark.
Yeah, I was very surprised when I heard people saying, "Yeah, it sounds like Phil Collins," and I went like, "What?" I never, my intention, I never thought 1 second about Phil Collins or Genesis or anything singing that song. Once again, I uh, I don't try, I didn't try to imitate
No, no,
anyone.
no. You don't
But
imitate.
sometimes I listen back to what I do and I say, hey, this sounds like this guy or that one. But when you do it, you carry a lot of in conscious intentions with you. It's like some, like I said, we carry a lot of information. Haven't listened to all that we have listened to, and we listen to amazing bands. And so, yeah, probably some of that information, uh, ends up as an influence in what you're
And it
doing.
could be subconscious also. Like you mentioned Jeff Martin before of the Tea Party. I remember when that band started and they're saying, oh, he sings like Jim Morrison. It's
Yeah,
like, no. Yeah, I can see that there's certain intonations in his voice that are clearly was his influence. But who is not influenced? Mark,
yeah,
you are a professor. You're influenced. Jeremy is influenced. I'm
yeah,
influenced. Our dog over here is probably influenced also. I mean, we are the sum of our past.
yeah,
And whether we know it consciously or subconsciously, it's an inherent part of how we present ourselves. So I understand it actually when I first saw that comment from you saying that he sings like Collins, and I understood immediately what it meant because in Mama there are certain moments where the two tonalities are similar. Not
yeah,
what you are singing is the
yeah.
same, but the
No, yeah.
tonality is the same.
Yeah,
You know?
it's probable. But
Well,
personally, I was surprised to hear those comments.
that's okay. Take it for what it's worth. It's a good thing.
And,
It's a
and what a
compliment.
horrible thing, eh?
Yeah, no,
Gee,
no, no. I know. It's a compliment. Well, in education, we say you're standing on the shoulders of those that came before you, and it's the same thing.
say to
Um,
yourself that you could have been Ian Dury.
there you go. Um, so, and to come back what you were saying about that legacy, that respect, and this is well. Let's see if you guys take it as a joke. But when we were growing up, the biggest thing was to get your, and there's actually a song written about it, to get your picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone. But now the big thing is to get a picture on the cover of Prague magazine. And I think you guys have articles in Prague, if I'm not mistaken. But is that sort of the new Rolling Stone for progressive rock?
Ooh, I have to be very honest. I have a few strange pet peeves. I never liked the Rolling Stones as a band. I think their last
No, no,
album was Let It
it's nothing
Bleed.
about the
No, I
music.
understand that. I understand it. So
Yeah.
anything associated to Rolling Stone, the magazine in particular, I unfortunately remember very clearly Mr. Chris Gow, among others, crucifying and impaling Prague to the point
Oh
where
my.
it was, oh yeah, Rolling Stone was not kind. Words like Jethro dull.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry, but that was a little. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer was horrible, and Yes was should have been called No, and the Moody Blues were really more moody than blue. I mean, I remember all of these comments, and at one point I realized that Rolling Stone was catering for a very specific commercial sound, which they are entitled to do. Yes, if the Eagles and Fleetwood Mac and all the Californian bands are your thrill. You are based in Los Angeles after all. It's kind of normal. Well, good for you. But they slagged Prague, and they slagged it to the point where other newspapers like Melody Maker
Yeah.
in England, New Musical Express, who were very pro Prague after a while because, of course, it was a fad. They got onto that same bus and they just pilloried it. I mean, pilloried it, destroyed it. You had this other wonderful gentleman in New York called from Cream Magazine, Lester
Oh
Bangs.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, what he did to Prague was like on the verge of genocide. I mean, it was. It was he was like and so anti-prog, it's not funny. So, when you take that into context and you see that it actually was reborn thanks to stalwart bands like IQ that you mentioned, Marillion. I mean, Marillion was a blessing.
Yeah,
Palace, Pendragon. These four kept the flame going when there was literally a flicker.
yeah,
Bands in Italy, in Spain, in France, in Canada, in the US. Again, thank God for Rush. Rush continued the progressive flame,
that
when
whole
everyone else was saying,
Italian
oh, this is
progressive
horrible, right?
rock thing
Exactly.
really kept things going.
And it almost disappeared. I mean, it literally, 1977, it was close to the edge down by the river. You know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
the only thing it was missing was John Anderson on the backing vocals. I mean, it was like the abyss.
Yeah,
And suddenly, what happened, thanks to technology, that's why we're called enigmatic sound machines, I guess. People, musicians from all over the world started creating, who are perhaps architects or restaurant owners or dentists or waiters or who knows what, decided to make music at home because they had access to MIDI and Fairlight and computers to be able to record at home. That's what really saved progressive rock music. I mean, most of this music that you have behind you, it was actually created at home and not in a studio, which is amazing, right?
yeah. Um, come back to your album here, Endless Beginning. And I give him more credit for sounding like Phil Collins on this one. But you actually bring back the sax in this one. And thank you. Every time I hear a sax, a horn, something on a something brass, something different on a prog rock, I give accolades because not that I've never played any of these instruments, but it's wonderful to hear these things and include them. I mean, I wish every band could put an orchestra in back of them like Edenbridge did, and play that kind of music. But that's very expensive and time consuming and everything else. Um, but talk about that one a little bit. Endless
And let's
beginning.
begin.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the saxophone. The saxophone was added very, very early on, before vocals were put in, which kind of is very interesting because usually a saxophone is added at the end
yeah,
as a solo instrument. Here, it was embedded right away into the
yeah,
structure of the song, and it allowed me to develop arrangements around it. So, but Endless Beginning is a very fun song. I love the rhythm once again. With the drummer that comes, with the drummer that comes in and literally never goes away again. It's kind of a ostinato where the pressure once it comes in is sustained. Um, yeah, it was a fun song to work with, and once again, every single song is pulls different emotions and calls for different attention and lyrics and the way it was structured. We always try to surprise the listener. And I think that one is a little more surprising and a little less conventional in the way it's arranged and the way it evolves. Yes, and the saxophone is a major part as well of the arrangement. It helps carry. Saxophone is the closest instrument to a human voice, right?
yeah.
So if you don't have a singer and you have a saxophone, it does the job. So yeah,
Jazz.
yeah, and
Yeah, that's
and
good.
so yeah, Rob Harrison
Amazing.
did a perfect job there and helped carry the rest of the arrangements.
And on the drums, one of the things that you will have noticed if you went through some of our albums is that we both, as I mentioned earlier, we both attended Led Zeppelin concert, 1974. That was the No Quarter tour, the Houses of Holy.
Oh
And
gosh.
what we both remember from that concert vividly is that we couldn't sit down. And why we couldn't sit down is because that beast behind the drummer was hitting those skins so hard that the vibration, we have to remember this is a hockey arena,
Yeah.
right? These were wooden chairs. I mean, you just simply could not sit down because you would
Wow.
get a spinal fracture by sitting down. You had to stand up.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
my gosh.
John Bonham is my favorite drummer.
Me too.
Definitely, definitely one of the smartest drummer out there. The way he punctuates a song is absolutely astounding. And this is some ingredient. Our last album has three drummers. There's not only one drummer, there's three drummers combined in one. And yes, the weight is inspired by that Led Zeppelin feel, and it will even be revealed even more in
The
the
next.
upcoming
Oh
album.
yeah.
Yeah.
When
All
the
right. And
Levy,
what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just said when the Levy breaks.
When the levee breaks. Yep,
Yes.
definitely. I actually, I mean, everyone loves Stairway to Heaven, but I actually think When the Levee Breaks or Kashmir are probably my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that blues, that's what they came in on. And When the Levee Breaks was like reaching the pinnacle. I mean, yeah,
Oh,
I agree with that. Yeah, I like that. Um, let's talk about Red Forest. And then you keep mentioning this new album. I definitely want to talk about that. But Red Forest, it seems to bring you back to the beginning, which was Pink Floyd. I hear a lot of Breathe. I hear a lot of Animals, especially those noises at the end. Uh, were those dogs howling, or was that influenced by animals? Or
no, it's funny because Red Forest is an instrumental. It's a and so when you work with instrumental music, it takes you somewhere else. You have to um, create elements that always keep you awake as you listen to the song. So yeah, because it's the Red Forest, it was kind of calling for animal sounds, like to inhabit this and to also trigger the imagination of the listener. Um, Red Forest, it's funny because when I named that song, Thomas said, it's about Chernobyl, and
oh,
yeah, in the beginning, I didn't have that. The concept was wider, where it was literally a red forest. I like the idea of having that image. It was pretty vivid, but there, when the concept of Chernobyl happened, so you have that innocence that is soiled, dies, and then comes back to life, and so it ends up on a positive note, as there is a resurrection at the end of that song. But yeah, working on an instrumental is a different concept. You have to use you have to use chapters. It's like in a book. You have to write different chapters and make sure they
Yeah.
link into
Prologue
each
and
other.
epilogue.
That's right. And yeah, that was a lot of work. That song was a lot of work, but
so it
it
wasn't those red maples. Didn't have anything
yeah.
to do with that. No,
Yes, that's a
which is
good.
coming. You guys probably have those
That's
red
right.
forests pretty
Oh,
soon.
very soon, actually.
Yeah, very soon. Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, look at the Canadian flag. It's right there. The red maple, the maple leaf.
Unescapable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Red Forest really was also, we started with an instrumental and we finished with an instrumental.
Yes.
And actually, the way the songs progress is exactly birth, because if you see the video of Imperfect Silence, you see at the end the baby that is in the womb. So the idea was that that would represented birth, and we go through entire life And then there's, the middle section, which is more, haunted and hallow, haunted referring to the ancestors and our past while we're trying to look forward. And then hallow being a bit more reverential, endless beginning, realizing that everything is just a Ouroboros that keeps on rolling over and over again. And then we get to Chernobyl, where Jeremy said the word, where the idea was from this disaster, there is a resurrection because Earth has this incredible ability to heal itself. Nature is an incredible place because if there is destruction, it will find a way to fix it. It may take time, sometimes very long time, but eventually it will repair itself. And that was the idea behind that album.
And he's absolutely right because I was watching this thing. I don't remember which news channel it was, but one of the most nuclear bomb places, an atoll out in the Pacific,
Bimini,
is now
yes.
beautiful, and
Yeah.
they have all these creatures that have returned because no humans went back there because they thought there's too much radiation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now it's one of the most glorious places to go on Earth, and you're right. So it will find a way to recuperate, and you're absolutely right. What tell us about this next album because I just can't wait for it now. After
Well,
The
hearing,
Enigmatic, of course.
uh-huh.
well, it's already in progress. It will be 10 songs. Um, a couple of songs are going to be a lot heavier, a lot more rock and roll, but muscle. You will feel the weight. Maybe a little reincarnation of Led Zeppelin. The drummer. What's his name already?
Bonham.
John Bonham. Yeah.
Yeah, John Bonham, absolutely. And there will be an instrumental again. I'm not gonna give up titles because they might reveal too much, but it will be a step up, and it will go a little further. And I would believe it will be even more melodic than this album. It will have a lot more organic bass guitars. It will have again some saxophone and some flute. So yeah, it just fairly new right now. So since we don't um, plan on releasing this until early 2026, there will be plenty of time to develop the idea and to bring this to maturity. But the idea is, yeah, we the plan is to create surprises and hopefully nice ones.
All right. I just got to mention one other thing because I know you probably have heard him, but you haven't mentioned him yet. But if you haven't heard of Danny Carey from Tool, he is to me, the successor of John Bonham. If you've heard their latest album and you listen to those drums, and there's video out there where he plays live, it's like hearing John Bonham again. He is just amazing. You guys know who I'm talking about.
Absolutely. The challenge, though, is to recreate that because we don't have a live drummer, right? We use drums, sample drums. So I play the drums through the machine, but yeah, trying to recreate that feel is
Different.
yeah, it's become easier and easier now.
Oh, all right.
I think yeah.
Well, Mark, if you listen to John Holden's new album, The Great Divide, you will notice in the credits that there is no live drummer. He does the
Oh,
drum programming. And I took particular attention to see if I could really, really detect any kind of defect or, something displeasing about the drum work on that album, and I could not find a single thing. So the notion that programmed drums are not as good as real
oh
drums
no, no.
slowly is becoming not true anymore. Already, Michael Oldfield, in many of his albums, he started using programmed drums, and we know what kind of genius he is.
Oh yeah.
He basically perfected it to the point where you can't tell the difference.
The day Phil Collins
Hmm.
used a rhythm machine instead of playing drums himself. sums up the
Yeah.
situation.
Yep.
I mean, it fits certain context. I mean, it's not for everyone, but yes, you will never be able to replace a real drummer
Of
and
course not.
real good drummer.
Especially in a live
That
setting.
is not that live.
Yeah,
We will
especially
have we
a
will
real
have a
real
live
drummer. Yeah,
drummer.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any questions? And you said the new album is next year,
Next year, yes.
What?
In January, well,
early?
we're hoping for
Oh,
March.
Yeah,
March,
March.
March
Yeah, March
2026.
probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
excellent. Do you want to give a name or anything or
No,
tour?
no, because it's not official yet.
No, you
Okay.
know what? Plus we have a label, right? So we the label will decide as well what happens. Mark Monforty is the head of the label, so we have to deal also with what his plans are.
He's
All right.
wonderful to work with, by the way.
And I was taking notes while I'm trying to do this. And another great song that almost has that religious experience that Supper's Ready is Awakened by Yes. And if you haven't heard that song yet, throw that thing on with some headphones. That's another one of those things where you need that CD to really get the full clarity because there's so many quiet parts. But that's another great one.
Yes.
Um, any is there anything I missed or didn't cover with? Uh, we
Nope.
covered a lot of ground. We've been doing this for probably 2 hours now. So thank you
Okay.
very much.
Yeah.
Time for a nap.
Nothing else?
No,
No,
not really.
I think
No,
we're
that's
good.
good. We're very happy to have had this extended conversation with
Yes.
you. You're obviously you have this number one quality besides anything else is that you're very obviously a fan. Uh, you're a promoter. You're a defender of a very good cause. Progressive music is a beautiful cause because I mean, I'm in this every day. Jeremy knows this. I receive albums every single day to review, and I can't keep up. There's
No.
that much good music.
Yeah.
Most of it brilliant. Some dross, not much, but I mean, most of it is off the charts brilliant. So there is a lot of music, but you know what? There's a lot of time to listen to it too. As long as we don't waste time listening to garbage, and God only know there's a lot of garbage out there. You know, there certainly is. I mean, you mentioned Formula before. We have a Canadian band that is famous called Nickelback.
Yeah. Oh God.
We
There
both
you go. Hey,
despise.
can you guys hold on for just a second? I'm going to be back in a minute. Hold on. Yep, just have a little bit of technical difficulties. We've got that worked out, but they were talking about any last things that they wanted to say about this album, the new album, anything about touring or anything that we didn't cover or didn't cover well enough.
Well, what's happening right now is that because of the fourth album and the fact that we have to go live next year, the band will probably expand from a duo and become probably a four, maybe five-piece band. That will be confirmed in the future, but that's being worked on right now.
And that'll be permanent then, sounds
Yeah,
like? Yeah, yeah.
most probably yes, yes.
Well, we also, one of my big loves in progressive rock has always been the bass guitar. I've always felt that prog bassists were always some of the most incredible, whether it's in fusion or in sympho or whatever. The list is endless of brilliant ones. And Hansford Rowe, having been with Gong and Gongzilla, two legendary bands, is an absolute brilliant bass player, both the four string and the fretless. And to have him, who he happens to live in Montreal, which is a
Oh,
great blessing for us. So he is already, I guess, chalked in to being that very enthusiastic. To have a jazz rock icon play with us live is testament to us being very happy about the situation, to say the least. I mean, just a quick joke. I mean, if it's okay.
Sure.
Um, when I was first introduced to him about 25 years ago, Jeremy asked me to go and see him, so to give him something, and he did that so that I could meet him. And so I went to ring his doorbell. He opened the door, and I actually mouse played do 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 do. The smile on that man's face was incredible because he had never met me before, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was his bass riff.
Yep.
You know how cool is that, right?
That's absolutely cool. For me, it was Chris Squire,
Oh
and
yes,
unbelievably, I got to meet him of all places. Um, now I can't remember his name. The drummer for Yes, he lived in Seattle before he passed away.
Alan
And
White.
I'm sorry.
Alan White.
Yeah, Alan
Chris.
White. Yeah, it's such an easy name to remember. I don't know why I forgot. But anyway, he is a wonderful person, did all sorts of fantastic things. And he played on John Lennon's album. Well, he did this tribute to John Lennon, and he happened to bring in Chris Squire. And I went to go meet Alan, and boom, there's Chris with him. And I was like, boy, did you get lucky today? And I don't even remember. I wish I could remember the joke, but I've got a picture of the two of them smiling to some joke that I made. And you'd think you'd remember something like that, but you're just so dazzled to be even in the presence of these people that you're like, you know. But yeah, that uh, yeah, there's few that were like Squire. I mean, he really, to me, revolutionized the bass in Prague. I mean, he almost took over Yes. I mean, there's some people that would say that's why they listen to Yes, not like me, the keyboards or John singing and the lyrics, but it was because of his bass. But anyway, I'm not one of those, but I do love his bass. Yeah, definitely. And you cannot have Yes without him, I don't think.
Absolutely.
All those, great bass lines from the first couple albums and everything since. I mean, yeah, it's incredible. Well, we easily, the three of us could talk all day long, and um, probably no one's watching anymore. But no, hopefully you did stay and listen to all this because it's been wonderful. I mean, it's so good to go back, but also go forward because they're talking about the future. They're going to be making music. They're bringing people that have been very famous in music, and it never ends. And that's the exciting part of this. And you were talking about new bands and having a lot of information out there, a lot of music out there. The wonderful thing about it, and you didn't use the word, but I know that's what you meant, independent artists. A lot of these poor people are on their own doing this with their own money. And so please help them, buy their CD, go to their show. For a lot of these independent bands, you're back in that $10, $20, $30 range. You can afford it, do it. They need your support. And
Absolutely.
listen to their albums. And he and I aren't just writing these. I mean, yeah, we both enjoy writing and listening to music, but we're doing it to try to get the message out that there still is some good, fantastic music out there. I never would have met, Bella North at I always say their name wrong, Bella Morte, um, without doing searches and finding them and listening to them. That's how you find these things. Atomic Time, same thing. Uh, if you hear that, you're listening to, that's another one. If you guys love Pink Floyd, please take a listen to Atomic Time. It
Oh
is,
yes, I reviewed that. It's fantastic.
isn't it? Yeah. and they're
Right.
great people. And his son is like a Wakeman already.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable, and it's good to see that. And they're gonna release some new videos of them making and playing these things live. But it almost looked like a Larry Fast stage. It's unbelievable. But yeah, there are a lot of impressive people out there. Yes, you have, your regular pop airways, and they're just playing the same thing over and over, and they're sampling all of this stuff. But you do have some incredible creators out there, and please give them your ear and your support.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I thought you guys would add to it, but that's our
The only thing I can say is that Jeremy has a Bentley, but it's this big.
Uh, okay. Well, yeah, there's so much music out there, folks. Don't give up on it. Don't stop. Those of you that are playing, we hear you and we like you and we want you to keep going. Don't give up. Don't stop. It's you can never have enough. And
No.
uh, and keep coming up with new ideas. Definitely. Well, thank
You,
you both. Really, thank you for taking
thank
all this
you.
time. I can't believe
It
we've
was
been
a
going
pleasure
for.
being on your show.
No, I appreciate you guys being here. That helps the show too. And it's not about me. It's about the message, trying to get these people out and again keep this thing going. Not just for record collectors like me and Thomas, but for the culture. I mean,
Hmm.
cannot turn off music. I don't know. I mean, the three of us, I don't think we could live without music. I mean, imagine a world without, I don't want to, but I mean, imagine a world without music. It's just, no. Um, so keep doing what you're doing. There are people out there that are listening to you, and we're so glad you're still out there. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
When you do come to Montreal, please let us know. We'll paint the town red.
I'll wear this definitely.
It's a good idea.
And I've got the away one too, but this, of course, you always wear home. But
Yes.
thank you guys, really. I mean,
Thank
this
you
is
very
Thank
much.
you.
Amazing.
wonderful. I'm gonna let them go, but hey, thank you very much. Enigmatic Sound Machines, get this album. It'll take you back and also forward. And they're not done yet. They're coming back with more, and they're going to be hopefully in your town live in the future. So thank you again, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna